From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old mannered comic shop owner Colin McMahon transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for September 2018. Now, fall in general and September specifically have always been really special time of the year for me. I always love being in marching band. I always love the fall, Halloween. Just that's always been my my time of year. And September is a really special time for me for the store because I opened 12 years ago, the Tuesday after Labor Day. So we always have a big celebration in September. So September's always a great month. No matter what's going on, it's always a great month for me. So, a couple things going on. September is going to be Batman month. Lately, they've, for the last, I want to say 3 or 4 years, DC's been doing Batman Day, where they get out and promote Batman. And this year it is Saturday, September 15th, is Batman Day. And we have some giveaway books. We'll be doing a big Batman Day sale, things like that. So keep that in mind. Also, because of the anniversary, on Saturday, September 8th, I'm going to be doing my big 12th anniversary party, where, again, we'll have a big sale. I'll get in cookies and stuff. We won't be grilling, even though it's going to be probably 110 degrees outside. So we'll have a big celebration, so if you can, come on down for that. So, because it's Batman month, we're going to be doing double points on all Batman graphic novels, and there are a slew of them. If you're interested in anything Batman, come on in and just ask, and we will get the right book into your hands or get you something different, something you never even thought about. For book club, we're doing a Batman book. Makes sense. And I decided to pick a different one this time. We're doing Batman Dark Knight, A True Story, which is actually Paul Dini, who was responsible for the Batman animated series, wrote his story about how, his history with Batman and things like that. And then one night he was mugged and fairly seriously injured, and talking about his road to recovery and depression, and how actually Batman, as the voice inside his head yelling at him, got him through it. So it was a really neat book, and so we're doing that for book club. Normally it's the last Friday of the month, but I had to kick it to the first Friday in October. The reason for that is the last Friday of the month is the Baltimore Comic-Con. And this year, Comics Pro is doing a special one-day event down there for retailers. And being part of the Comics Pro board, I felt I should be there, so I'm missing that week. So, fun, exciting, all sorts of stuff going on in September here at the store. So, what's going on in comics? I know that's why you're here, that's why you're watching, and that's what you want to know. So we'll start with DC because it is Batman month, and we have a really big, neat book coming out. This is by Tom King, who is the writer on Batman, and it's also with Clay Mann, who has done a bunch of the fill-in issues. I think he's done mostly the Kite Man stories that have been a lot of fun in Batman. But it's a book called Heroes in Crisis, and it's about how do superheroes deal with PTSD. They see horrible things, they have to deal with horrible things, and it's never really been addressed. So Tom King, with his military and CIA background, is going to address this. How do, if someone dies, how does the hero deal with this? There's a place called Sanctuary, and something happens there. So that's a 7-issue miniseries coming out from DC, and it's starting this September. Batman Damned. This is coming out from Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo, who have done some really good books, namely Joker. Was their big one that they did together. They've also did, I believe they did some Hellblazer stuff. I know Azzarello did, and I'm pretty sure, oh no, it wasn't Bermejo, but Brian Azzarello did some Hellblazer stuff that was really, really good, and so now he's kind of coming back to that. Batman Damned is going to be the first of the Black Label books to come out. It's going to be oversized. Lee Bermejo does a very painted style. The pages look beautiful. And it's going to be Batman and Constantine getting together. Joker is dead, and now they have to figure out what happened. So this is just a 3-issue oversized format, and should be really neat in the first of this Black Label kind of, not creator-owned stuff from DC, but a little more creator-centric and letting them do the books that they want to do, kind of with no restrictions. Don't need to tie in with continuity or formats or anything, just letting them put out the best stories that they can. Vertigo is kind of not relaunching, but getting a whole new wave of books coming. It started with the Sandman stories coming. We had the Sandman Universe special, and they're kind of going from there right now. The Dreaming is coming out. This is the first one spinning out of the Sandman universe, and it's a story of what's going on in the Dreaming. The new Sandman Daniel has left the Dreaming, and it's kind of falling apart without him, without his controls, and just dealing with that, dealing with everything going on in the Dreaming. It's fun revisiting characters from the Sandman series, and there's a new character named Dora who's causing trouble, so it's fun. This is something that's really, for me, Sandman is one of the books that really got me back into comics after college and after I was out for a bit, so I have a real affinity for Sandman stuff, so this is very aimed right at me, so I'm looking forward to it. Another new Vertigo one is Border Town. This is starting, there's going to be a bunch, 4 or 5 new Vertigo titles specifically coming, and this is what, there's a crack between worlds, and all of these Mexican folklore characters are suddenly crossing the border, and it's what happens and how this one town where this is happening deals with all these new people coming across. Cover. We're getting a couple new Bendis books. One of the deals when Brian Michael Bendis came over to DC to do Superman in action was that he also brought his Jinx World books, which is his creator-owned stuff. We've already had a couple come out. We've had Scarlet, and we've had Pearl both come out. And this new one is Cover. And basically it's a story of what happens when a comic book artist who does conventions and flies all around the world, kind of, unannounced, not unannounced, but under the radar, he's just an artist, but what happens when he gets recruited by the CIA to start doing some stuff. So that's going to be interesting. We have Doomsday Clock 7 is coming, hopefully. It was in the previews. I'm assuming it's coming. I haven't checked the shipping date, but it's been good, and hopefully we get the next issue. House of Whispers is another one of the Sandman stories. This is basically adding a new house to the mythology of House of Mystery and House of Secrets. And this is dealing with some voodoo stuff down like in the bayou and some mysteries there. Another Bendis one is United States versus Murder, Inc. The previous series was United States of Murder, where the mob had gotten so powerful and had so corrupted the government that they basically ran the country. And they came to a deal to basically control part of the country. And now in this second series, the government and the people of the United States are fighting back. So now it's the United States versus Murder Incorporated. Brian Michael Bendis and Mike Oeming, who did Powers and a bunch of other things together. Suicide Squad and Aquaman are wrapping up their Sink Atlantis storyline. We have Batman 55 is coming, and DC has been doing a big push that something major happens to Nightwing in this issue that will forever change his character, so we'll see. But keep an eye on this one if you're a big Nightwing fan. So that's the biggies coming out from from DC. Now we go into Marvel, who has their own big storyline, The Return of Wolverine. So Logan is back. He's been dead for a while. Then we had the Hunt for Wolverine, where people were looking for him because he was magically out of the grave. And now with the Dead End, which was the wrap-up of that, reveals his fate. He shows up on the very last page in a precarious situation. So now we'll be kicking off the Return of Wolverine miniseries written by Charles Soule, who's the one that killed him. Thanos Legacy is a new Thanos series detailing some stuff after the end of the other Thanos, where Thanos confronted himself in the future. This is coming back more to the present and explaining what happened after that. More Donny Cates, who can seemingly do nothing wrong. So this is a new one from him. New one, this is tying into the Infinity War, and it's the Asgardians of the Galaxy. And this is basically getting all of the Thor mythology characters together to try to stop Gamora from what she's doing in this. So you're getting Angela and Thor Frog and Thunderstrike and all those characters together as the Asgardians of the Galaxy. This is written by Cullen Bunn because he needs a few more books. Iceman is back. They've decided to bring Iceman back. It had a short run and they ended it, and now it's back. And in this one, Bobby Drake has to help the Morlocks prevent a second mutant massacre. So if you're a big fan of 80s and 90s books, the mutant massacre was a big deal. So they're kind of revisit that here. Spider-Geddon is coming. This is another one where they're dealing with alternate reality Spider-Man characters, and this is tying into the new video game that launches in September. So they're doing the book to have some like on the cover. The first one was a punk rock Spider-Man. So that's on Edge of Spider-Geddon. Now we're getting to the actual Spider-Geddon itself. Infinity Wars is doing something different, where they're doing Infinity Warps, where characters are merging, and we're getting our first 2 issues of that, which is Iron Hammer, which is a cross between Iron Man and Thor, and Soldier Supreme, which is a cross between Captain America and Doctor Strange. So they're doing some weird combinations in this storyline. We're getting a bunch of annuals from Marvel too, which look kind of neat. We have a Captain America annual written by Teenie Howard, who's been doing a lot of independent stuff. She started over at Black Mask and stuff. It's a World War II story with Cap and Bucky. We're getting an Amazing Spider-Man annual, which is exploring what happened with Spider-Man and the Venom symbiote, or as they say in the movie. Basically, he realized he was blacking out and the costume was making him do things, and that's what led him to go into the bell tower to get the costume off it, and it went then to Eddie Brock. And this annual is going to be talking about what was happening those nights, what the symbiote was making him do. So that could be interesting. Marvel's been doing a bunch of True Believers books for a while now, just little dollar reprints, and they kind of do it as a theme. Last month it was Fantastic Four special issues, key issues that you would want. The best-selling one was the first appearance of Galactus. And now they're doing a bunch with Marvel Knights, because they're revamping Marvel Knights, which was an imprint where they gave Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti kind of free reign to do what they wanted to. This was 20 years ago. And they took over, it was Daredevil and Punisher, I forget who else. There were some other characters that they were allowed to play with. So we're getting a bunch of Marvel Knights one-shots reprinting some of these True Believers. So we're getting Daredevil, Alias, Power Man and Iron Fist, and Punisher, and a bunch of one-shots. A neat one is going to be the reprint of the first appearance of Punisher, which is cool. Journey into Mystery, Birth of Krakoa. This is a little, either a one-shot or a mini-series, kind of refreshing the series name Journey into Mystery, but if you don't know who Krakoa is, you probably do. Back in Giant Size X-Men #1, the whole premise was that the original X-Men were missing, and Professor X had to form a new team of X-Men to go find them, and that new team was Colossus and Nightcrawler and Wolverine and Storm. And so now this is getting into, and they were captured by this living island, Krakoa. So now this is delving into Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos first discovering Krakoa and how it was born. We're getting a Silver Surfer annual. This is another one by some new creators. I didn't write down who it was, but it's exploring more of Silver Surfer's past and the tragedy that led to the creation of Silver Surfer. X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue are both wrapping up in anticipation of the launch of the new Uncanny X-Men that's coming in November. So if you've been enjoying these storylines are wrapping up. We're getting a Domino annual as well, which is going to be the origin of her posse. So if you've been reading it and enjoying it, but not quite sure who all these extra characters are, this is going to let you know who they are and how they all got together. Also getting an Old Man Logan annual. This is taking place in the future where Old Man Logan is from, and it's delving in a little more into the Punisher and what was existing with him and what he was doing in that time. So that's most of the stuff coming from Marvel. The new exciting stuff. Most of the other books are still continuing on their great stories. Things like Infinity War is still continuing. And then we have some new stuff coming from Image. As always, the first one is Bully Wars, and this is a new one from Scotty Young. I Hate Fairyland just wrapped up. So now he has a new one called Bully Wars that he's writing. The art is similar to his style, but he's not actually drawing this one. But it's a case of the school bully. Suddenly, when the new school year starts, he realizes that he's now being bullied, and he has to join up with some of his favorite geeks that he was picking on to join forces with them to survive these bully wars that have started. Man-Eaters is a new one from Chelsea Cain, who had a big run on Hawkeye that was really celebrated before that book ended. And I know she's coming back doing something at Marvel. I forget what right this second. But she has a new one called Man-Eaters, where in this world or this time something's happened, and at that time of the month for women they turn into ferocious killer wildcats, and the fate of all of mankind is dependent on this one 12-year-old girl. We have another book called 1975. This is from Joe Casey, and it's a story of a cab driver who is also a monster fighter wielding an enchanted tire iron. So this is set in 75, and so they have some good period stuff. It should be fun. Burnouts, #1. This is a new one where there's an alien invasion, but you can only see the aliens when you're high. So you need to get stoned to be able to fight the aliens. So that sure will go well. Cemetery Beach is a new one from Warren Ellis. It's a big action-adventure story, so it's good to have him back doing another book. I think he's teaming up with Josh Howard, who he did Trees with. So those are the biggies coming from Image. Dark Horse has some fun stuff coming. They're doing a Stranger Things book, which is going to be focusing on Will in the Upside Down, which is something that wasn't addressed at all in the TV show. So in the first season, Will was gone for the whole season, and this is going to address what happened to him, because there's something they're probably not going to delve into in the show because they're moving forward. They also have a Mystery Science Theater 3000 comic coming. Not 100% sure how that's going to work. My guess is they're going to take some old comic pages and stories and kind of Mystery Science Theater 3000 them. Olivia Twist is a new one, which is just a little twist on Oliver Twist. War Bears, this is from Margaret Atwood, who wrote Handmaid's Tale, and it's basically a historical fiction of a Golden Age character, kind of doing a Golden Age story and an origin. Also on Gamma, this is from Ulysses Farinas, who's done a bunch of stuff for Image, and it's basically Pokemon meets the Power Rangers. So if you like either of those, this might be the book for you. IDW has some neat stuff coming. They have a Star Wars versus Transformers book, so what can go wrong there? Kirk running into Transformers and trying to make heads or tails of that. There's a new G.I. Joe book called The Silent Option, introducing a new character. And they're also doing a real neat one. It's Batman and the Max, done by Sam Keith and John Layman. So that's going to be interesting, having Batman meet the Max character. Back from early Image, had an MTV series, if you're old like me and remember. It never made sense, and I don't know if it ever did make sense. It's about a completely insane, homeless guy who also thinks he's a superhero, and you never know if it's real or not, or exactly if it's all just delusion. So now Batman's going to meet him, so this should be fun. Dick Tracy, they have a new Dick Tracy book coming, Dick Tracy Dead or Alive, with Mike Allred involved. His brother Lee is writing it, and he's doing some of the art. I believe he's doing, I'm not sure, he's not doing all of it, but he's doing some of it. So that should be fun. There's some new Disney books coming from IDW too. Which is always interesting, being that Marvel owns Disney, or Disney owns Marvel, but they go to IDW for their stuff. But it's an Uncle Scrooge, My First Million, a new Disney in comics and stories, and a new Tangled one. These do really, really well for me. So every time I hear people say kids' books don't sell, they sell really well to adults and kids, and new Disney is always well received. Dynamite has a couple new ones. We should be getting more John Wick. I'm hopeful. They keep promising. I'm praying. There's a new James Bond book, James Bond Origin, and this is a story of a younger James Bond before he was 007. And they also have Vampirella and Deja Thoris, because they love those characters and repackage them every way they can. So now they're teaming up. Why not? Boom has some interesting stuff. There's a new one called Low Road West, where there's been a nuclear attack on the East Coast, and 5 teenagers are sent west to try to survive and in search of hope. The description kind of made me sound a little bit like Mad Max Fury Road, where they're looking for something, and when they get there, they realize it's not what they had hoped it would be. So, kind of a tale of desperation. They also have Welcome to Wonderland. It's a coming-of-age story where fairy tales aren't exactly a dream come true. So, Aftershock, they are really up and coming. They're a neat publisher. Mike Martz, who was a Batman editor for a long time and really knows the business, is one that started this company. And he went to all his friends and creators and the people who he knew, top talent, and asked them to come do some, oddball stuff. Give me your, the story that you couldn't get pitched somewhere else. And so it's been really good, and they try a lot of new things, but there's a really good company behind it. They've sold really well. They've been really good quality stuff. It hasn't been just kind of thrown together things. They have a new one, Patience, Conviction, and Revenge. And it's about a mobster who was kicked out of the mob in Vegas, and he's living in a shack in the desert, and he creates a robot army to go back and take over Vegas and regain his seat at the table. And then there's another one they have coming called Moth and Whisper, where Moth and Whisper are two of the biggest thieves in town, and they've gone missing. And people don't know that because their daughter, while looking for them, is impersonating them to keep their history and story alive and mystique going all the while trying to find them. There's a new publisher out there, Tom Peyer, who's been around for a while, is heading this one up, and it's called Ahoy Comics, and they have a couple new ones. The first one is High Heaven, where a chronic malcontent dies and goes to heaven and is displeased with how things are and starts creating a problem. This was interesting because it's going to have a Grant Morrison text piece in the back, so if you're a Morrison fan, you might want to get this just for the text piece. And then there's another one called The Wrong Earth, where it's a case where there's a hero who exists on two different realities, and suddenly they get switched, and so they're on the wrong Earth, and how that goes. Albatross is a fun one. This is mostly Eric Powell, who does The Goon and Hillbilly, and he's bringing back Spook House just in time for Halloween, and this is a good all-ages kind of horror book. Archie is having a little fun. They're doing a book called 1941, where it's Archie at the beginning of World War II. It's written by Mark Waid and drawn by Peter Krause, who they did Irredeemable and the other book about the bad guy. They did the Irredeemable book together. So that's going to be fun seeing their take on an old style Archie. Black Mask is always doing fun stuff, although they're shipping. I've got to yell at them about their shipping. They're getting books are a little late. But they have a new one called The Devil Within, and it's basically a new take on a haunted house thriller. Oni is bringing back a fun one, Kim Reaper, who is just a college student, but also a vampire hunter, and now she is on Vampire Island, so that's not going to go well. Titan, it likes going into some old properties and stuff, and they're doing a new Elric book, the famous Elric of Melonbone, and this is new one, Elric the White Wolf. They're also doing a new Doctor Who. The new Doctor Who with the first female Doctor Who is coming, and they're starting a series on that, and we're getting Doctor Who, the 13th Doctor, issue 0 is coming out in September. They also have, there's a novel series called Newberry and Hobbs, which is like a steampunky series, and they're finally, I guess it's been around for 10 years over in England, and now they're adapting that to comics, so we're getting some more stuff there. Then we have Valiant. Valiant has a couple new things going on. They have a new Faith book. Faith has just been one of a real breakout female character. And she is now heading into the dream side, which is the kind of the land of nightmares, where Shadow Man has been doing a lot of stuff. And she's heading there to take on the nightmares that are affecting her friends. So this is a new series from them. We have Harbinger Wars 2 Aftermath is coming, so that wrapped up, and now we're getting the little denouement coming out in September. And Ninjak is starting a new storyline where he's having to help protect Galad from his ancient enemy, the Dying One. So new stuff from Ninjak, a good jumping on point. And then Vault has a neat one. It's called Fearscape, where this is a place that's populated by manifestations of our fears, just kind of live in this dimension, this fearscape. And once every decade, the Muse comes out to Earth to grab the greatest storyteller to go back and to fight these demons to keep them from coming through to our world. Unfortunately, this time she went and she picked a plagiarist with delusions of grandeur. He presented himself as the greatest storyteller, but he's really not. And now what happens when it's up to him to protect Earth from these bad guys, when he's a guy who is not what he seems to be? So, all sorts of neat stuff, all sorts of books still continuing. We're still, like I said, Doomsday Clock is still coming. We still have Infinity Wars is rolling along, and all the other great books that are coming out. Still going on. Like I said, September is one of my favorite times of the year as soon as the temperature drops below out of the 90s. And I always like to make it extra special here at the store. So I do my anniversary sale, which is coming up on the 8th. We have Batman Day coming up on the 15th. So lots of fun stuff here at the store. I've been getting in a lot of back issues, and I'm working on processing those quickly to get those out for your perusal. I had a real nice collection of stuff that I remember buying new off the shelf, so really old stuff, but good stuff. So that's what we have going on here at the store in September. So as always, if you have any questions, you can ask me here at the store. Contact me on the website, pittsburghcomics.com. Facebook is Pittsburgh Comics. Twitter and Instagram is @PGHcomics. So easy to get a hold of. Any questions, anything you want to know about, please ask away. And as always, please stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. Thanks. See you next month.
Can you believe how gorgeous it is? We haven't had a day like this in forever. I mean, it's just perfect, isn't it?
The company helps.
You're buzzed.
Maybe. Definitely. But a fact's a fact. Days like this, they've been too few and far between. For us, anyway.
We really should do something to change that.
Well, funny you should say that, because there's something I've been wanting to ask you.
Annabelle Riggs! You must come with us at once! The galaxy is in grave peril!
Friends of yours?
Sure. I know all the best sword-wielding warrior women. Look, whoever you are, I'm in the middle of something here. Plus, I'm not sure I'm in any condition for the universe saving. I'm a little drunk, you know.
Then you'll be in good company.
Aw, Ren, hold that thought, okay? I'll be back before you can.
Annabelle? Where did you go?
So, perhaps you might put aside your studies and join the battle!
I'm an archaeologist, Scourge. I don't think you brought me along for my fighting abilities. This reliquary contains something old, something powerful. And if I don't figure out what it was, what she stole, we may be looking at a cosmic apocalypse.
I hate to interrupt your reading, mortal, but if you haven't noticed, we're outnumbered. By trolls, by Cathari, by Cronins and Badoon.
So?
It will be impossible to look at anything, girl. Once our foes have plucked your eyes from your skull.
I've almost got it figured out, but whatever.
Ah, Annabelle. You truly waited within a hair's breadth of getting yourself killed, didn't you? And against trolls, too. You know how much I enjoy smiting trolls.
Well met, Valkyrie. Now, finally, we can get down to the business of carnage. How'd you end up sharing your form with that Midgardian bookworm anyway?
You missed a lot while you were in hell. I didn't get a chance to fill you in while we were helping Thor there. But it doesn't look like now's the time either. For Asgard!
Blood makes the grass grow.
Because my Cuphead got deleted.